Uh, hey guys, welcome. Thanks for popping in. I'm going to be doing some more. Actually, how's the audio? Is it all right? Too loud? Too quiet? Hey, Spectre, welcome. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that properly. um, yeah, I'll start in a second. Is the audio all right? Is it too loud, too quiet, or is it all right? Audio's fine. Cool. All right. Uh, hey, Pyro, welcome. Right. So I'll get to it. So yesterday I did a stream and I was focusing on this cast of characters, the 60 years ago cast from my Sonic Expanse series. So yesterday I focused on rendering out these characters. I did 3 of them so far. So I've done the Duke of Soliana, Professor Pickle, and Gerald Robotnik. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how the style turned out for them. So I'm going to continue on with that today and try to get at least these 4 done. So yesterday when I was doing these ones, they did take roughly an hour each to do, but as I did them, they got progressively faster. So I'm gonna see if I can keep up that same pace with these ones. Welcome, guys. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to get started on that. Thank you. And chill out and whatever. So this one's probably the strangest out of the bunch, as he's a character that hasn't actually officially appeared in the game, because he was from the cancelled Sonic Extreme game. So he's the father of Tiara Bubowski, and with his younger form in particular here, I'm sort of highlighting that fact. And yeah, he's got traits, physical traits very similar to Tiara, so yeah, even though he is a cancelled character, I still incorporate them into my particular stories. And yes, he's very important. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Cancelled lore just means free OCs. I do a fair bit with Gazebo and Tiara in my Expanse stuff. Most of my focus is on Gazebo though, because obviously she inherits a lot of what he establishes. So a thing I hone in on for Gazebo and Tiara is the fact that they're, well, in some of their stories, they're ringsmiths. So they create powerful rings. In particular, in this setting, Gazebo is a long-time colleague of Gerald, and I actually have him established as someone who helps develop Shadow's inhibitor rings. So that's something that, I show off a bit in some of my stories taking place during this time period. something that I'm doing at the same time here is tweaking his design a bit, because this was designed way back in 2014. A friend of mine actually designed the initial design for me as a commission. But then it was just a basic black and white sketch. But when I redid the design for the 60 years ago cast, I aligned actually I'll show that in a second. This one here. Yeah. So these guys here, yeah, in that middle there. So if we can find the actual see original design. This one here, yeah. So I adapted this design and basically applied a color scheme more reminiscent of Tiara. So now I'm further tweaking the design a bit so I can add in more gazebo-esque traits into the design, which will involve the eyebrows here, and I've given, yeah, I'm gonna tweak the ears a little bit to be more shapely compared to the original sketch of gazebo. How's everyone going today anyways? Ironically, that's good. More of your AU stuff. Okay, that's interesting. World of Warcraft. Yeah, at some stage, I'd like to start drawing some non-Sonic stuff on stream. I mentioned the other day that I'm gonna be dedicating some of like at the moment I'm just sort of teething with my streaming, but once I'm feeling more confident, I'm going to be establishing a schedule so that I can work on some of my other projects besides my Sonic stuff. So I'm going to dedicate a particular day to some of my Pokemon related uh, works. I've done like I haven't really done much in the way of my Pokemon stuff in a while, but it is something I want to focus on. So if I use this as a means of getting myself focused, yeah, that'd be good. And I also have another project that I'm going to be working on as well, which is a crossover project of sorts. It's a Dragon Ball and DC Comics crossover. Basically doing the whole Goku and Superman thing, except it's like a whole AU. I'll talk more about that later. I did actually, or you could see a bit of well, not really, in my first stream, which is like a very short, very short test stream. But yeah, that'll encompass another one of my focused days of streaming. I typically have 4 days when I'm not working, but I may also end up doing some streaming like after my work hours. But that's gonna be, when everyone's not awake. But I'll still do it anyways. I was gonna say something else. Oh yeah, that's right. And my 4th day, I'm gonna leave open for like whatever else I feel like. So that would be technically today. So I may leave that open for like if I feel like playing a game or something. Hey Shin, welcome. How are you doing today? Yeah, doing pretty well. Very relaxed this morning. This morning for me, so I decided to stream a bit later today just to see how I go with that. So I'm still getting a feel for like time zones and stuff, but around these times is usually pretty good. But I found the last few times where I've streamed, like I've been doing solid 3 hour blocks, but I usually find that like after I've finished like I don't know, I sort of don't really have much else to do after that. So I'm thinking either starting later and sort of spread out my day a little bit more. But I also like to start streaming a bit longer. But it just really depends on if I have the drive for it. I'm anticipating trying to go for at least 4 hours today, depending on how fast I do these. Because yesterday, when I worked on these three, they took roughly an hour each from sketch to completion. So, well, and as I went along, they got faster as well. So, I'm anticipating that I'm gonna try and blitz at least 4 of these and maybe 5 if I'm extra keen. Thank you. I hope you enjoy. Thank you. That means a lot. Just to remember what processes I went through with these. It's only been less than 24 hours, but not feeling confident. Actually, I'll have a quick look at my layers just to see what I actually have here. I've only got 3 layers per drawing, so overlay, sketch/line art, and then the shading and base color on the same layer. So only 3 layers per character. Okay, so that's pretty simple. So just shading plus base, and then a lighting overlay. Easy. Welcome, Sideburn Gal. Yes, salutations. Yeah, the facial tracking on my webcam's kind of a bit funky because the lighting in my room's kind of off. I really need to play around with the lighting a little bit, but just haven't got around to doing that. So, yeah. Sorry if it looks like I've fallen asleep. Right. Welcome, Owain. Welcome, DP. Hold in silence room. Yes. Yes, that's right. My character used to have wind powers a long time ago. Abraham Tower 10 years ago. That is something I do play around with. Well, this is 60 years ago, so it's 10 years before the arc. So at this point in time, the commander would just barely be born. So yeah, he'll make a cameo appearance as like a baby, but not a part of this cast. I do expand a bit more on him during the actual 50 years ago period, which I'll show off here actually. 1 second. This one. Right, let's see here. That's it. That one. Here we are. Yeah. So actually, this is the incomplete piece. There is a lot more meant to be on this one, but I never actually end up finishing this one. Actually, I'll pull up the actual file on stream. So this is a lot more expanded version than the one that's on my public gallery. So you'll see here I've got Wendy Witchcart and Professor Pickle here, and the guy who kills Maria, Gizoid. This idea probably have to change depending on what's happening with Shadow Generations, but got all these characters here gathered on the Ark, including our boy. And, there's young Gilbert, except 10 years older. 20 or so here, plus his friends. Kurakov and his boss. Zebo, a little bit older, I'm currently working on. And Gerald and Kerr. Oh yeah, Molly. I have considered a little bit about Cascade before, but I haven't really delved too much into it because I focus a lot of my attention on Earth itself. But I do reference Cascade and Molly and her people. But yeah, it would be interesting to sort of focus on that one day. Lighter. Welcome, iconic warrior. How are you going? Welcome, Cedra Alsaloon. Make yourself at home. Just finished this one here, I think, so I'll just double check what we've got going on here. 15. That's your YouTube logo. I have no idea. It's not coming up as any rainbow on mine. The zebra should be done. Just on time, perfect. Right, I'll get started on Wendy. I can't believe it either. That's crazy, isn't it? 60 years old. Hi, Arkbird. Wendy's a funny one because out of all the designs here, she and Fakurikov here, they've gone through the most design revisions because these two were actually the very first ones that I designed for the story before I created the official cast lineup. So gone through two designs, like, so a bit more than these two. They're the rest of these guys. I'll show them off in a second. Yeah. So So these are the secondary designs of these two when they were readapted into the official cast, well, the full cast. So they look slightly different to how they were in their initial designs, and even on these current ones, she's been tweaked a little bit in comparison. Still maintains most of the design traits, but very different. But the very first design I did of these two, see if I can find it. Here we are. Very different to how they were in their second designs, and once again, very different in style with what I'm currently working with. So yeah, just more as a legacy thing. I like to try to maintain some of the looks as much as possible because these were done back in August of 2013, so I'm very attached to them. But I will be updating them to keep them in line with my current design style. Are you? Does that mean you're turning 6 in a few days? No, I'm not 60. No, talk about the story. The story takes place 60 years ago. Also, welcome Near Fantasy. Uh, yeah, it's intended to be one day. Just a matter of actually getting around to it. But now that I'm sort of finally ironing out the character designs a bit more, it could potentially be something that will happen one day. Because this particular story was always intended to be a comic. Unlike most of my ideas, which is sort of like kind of vague, left open to whatever medium I feel like. This one was always going to be a comic, so yeah, yeah, it'll be a series. Yeah, it's something I've always like this particular story. It's always been my particular favorite when it came to Expanse because it's the very first idea that I created before before Expanse even became a thing because this was my first foray into like mixing as much lore as I can into one setting. But then after I did that, because of the different aspects of lore that were combined, it created a whole bunch of new ideas, which eventually gave birth to the wider Expanse universe. But yeah, I've always been particularly fond of this idea because it's like it takes something that's very unusual, something people don't really think too much about, and like these particular old people, old, very elderly characters in the series, bringing them together into an earlier setting, and yeah, just seeing how they would interact with each other. It's like they would all be alive at this point, but I don't know. It's like it's always been something I wanted to focus on, but at the same time, I don't know. It doesn't have as much wide scale appeal towards for people because it's like not your run of the mill Sonic story. But yeah, it's always been my favorite. Who is my favorite Sonic character? Shadow. It's easy answer is Shadow. He is what got me very into the series. Yes. Ride or die. But yes, yeah, I've always sort of been unsure about focusing on this because, like I said, it doesn't seem like most people would be interested in. But more recently, after having done, like posted up these colored renderings of these three yesterday, it was pretty well received. So I'd like to give it a bit more attention now that there's a bit of her eyes on the actual idea. Something I do with Witch Cart in this story that persists pretty much into the present day period is she and Professor Pickle, they used to have a thing in the story, and they eventually get married. And something I do that some lore that I allude to is the fact that in the present day, the Witch Cart, as she appears here, she's very elderly, very at this point very senile. So I have in mind a scenario where, with the Sky Patrol game, with Tails having to deal with her, I have in mind that it's something that he has to do quite often because, like, you know, she's not all right in the head at that point, and she's always running amok, and Tails very often has to reel her in and bring her back to Professor Pickle, and that's how they know each other prior to the events of Unleashed, because you know, he's an old friend of his, and he's helped both of them out a lot. So it's a fun little thing, and yeah, in this particular story, you can see their budding relationship, I guess. Thank you. I will do my best. Thank you. In this particular story, since it takes place 10 years before the arc, it, uh, during the arc, Maria's 12 years old. So at this point, she's still an infant, and she will be referenced at the beginning because at the very beginning of this story is when Gerald finds out that she's been stricken with NIDS, and that's when he sort of goes on these journeys and expeditions to try and find some alternative means of trying to treat her because at this point in time, no modern medicine can do anything about NIDS. So yeah, she will be present as a baby, but just more as something at the very beginning before the events kick off. Yeah, yeah, I imagine some fun stuff. Um, at the beginning of the story, it's these three: Pickle, Gerald, and Gazebo, who are going to be going on the expedition. But at some certain point before the actual takeoff of their vessel, uh, this guy, Duke of Soliana, he stows away by stealing Gazebo's spacesuit. So then it's these guys as the main focus of the main story. So these three are the central characters. Gazebo will be a supporting character, communicating with them remotely. And then these three, they're going to be the foils of the main three there. These two have been hired to get in the way of the science team, and the Donpa here is the one who helps these two actually get to the little planet. So yeah, no, I imagine the dynamic between these two will be pretty fun. I have in mind to introduce the idea that Gerald is like a friend of Pickle's father, and then that's how these two know each other. Yeah, so it'd be pretty fun. I've got some pretty expanded backstory for Pickle in particular, but still workshopping some of those ideas because newer developments have sort of altered character placements, so won't talk about that too much yet. The thing in particular I had in mind was that Pickle is a friend of the guy who ends up killing Maria. So it's a very tragic, ironic thing. we got doing with Black Doom? I've got a lot going on with Black Doom. Not in this particular story because it's not the time for the comet to pass by yet. But I do have pretty expanded story for Black Doom because I feature like a so in Shadow the Hedgehog he mentions that he was on Earth 2,000 years ago, and I have a story that focuses in on that fact and just shows what he was up to while he was on Earth during that point in time. I do have there is a design I did a long time ago of Black Doom during that point in time, 2,000 years ago, but I am in need of updating it. I'll just see if I can find it real quick. Where are you? Black Doom, here we are. Yeah, so at this point in time, still quite youthful, still got his legs, but I have in mind a point in time in this story where yes, back when he had legs. Yeah, in this particular story, yeah, he's still got his legs, and yeah, he sort of establishes the glyphic canyons at this point in time. So those are the canyon battle stations that he has in Shadow the Hedgehog. Yeah, he loses his legs at this point, which is a big turning point for him because prior to this point in time, he'd always been pretty gentle about his draining of planets and stuff like that. He was at this point, he's sort of like a not really a protector, but more like you know this is my universe. I'm the boss, don't destroy it. But after this point, he loses his legs in battle with Erazor of all people, and because of this, his body is like greatly wounded, and it requires more energy to try to maintain his life force. So that's when he becomes a bit more aggressive after this point in time, and when he starts devouring planets. Yeah. The Black Doom, the Doom's Eye rather, which is what I consider the true Black Doom identity, whereas this physical vessel here is a body that he's co-opted as a host of sorts. I expand heavily on that idea because the starfish, which is called the Star Drainer in my Expanse stuff, he is a piece of one of the gods in my deity structure. So yeah, I have a lot of ideas relating to that. Let's see. Yeah, I'll just pull that up real quick. Keep getting distracted, I'm very sorry. Here we are. Yep. Oh. Yeah, so my deity structure, I've showed this off a lot. This is my big passion project where I've collected many of the different gods in the Sonic canon. Usually they come in pairs, so you got Light and Dark Gaia, then you got Mephiles and Iblis, who are two halves of Solaris, and then you've got Lumina and Void, who are the two halves of Illumina. Now for the fourth god, I expand on the idea of Argus, who is the super deity that's introduced in Sonic Chronicles, and I introduce him as one of the four primordial deities, and his two halves are the ones who would become Black Doom and Mother Wisp. But not in the usual way, because those two particular entities, they are revenants, and they are when a deity has lost their identity, they've essentially died. So you've got Time Eater and Ifrit as other examples of revenant. They are the lingering energy of Mephiles and Iblis. So they're no longer the same godly identity, but they are the same energy life force that has developed its own life. And that's what these two are in particular. They are not gods, they're just energy that's taken form. And I've got this, whole new thing with the original deities who would become Mother Wisp and Black Doom. But yeah, that's all the stuff I have for them. What about the echidnas and Tickle? Yeah, I've also got a fair bit about them as well. I'm getting distracted again. I'm sorry. Let me just see if I can find those once again. Yeah. I should really be focusing on this, but I don't know. I just can't stop now. Where is it? Here it is. So a thing I've got going on with the echidnas, I expand a bit on Tikal's parentage, well, family history. So I've got Tikal's grandmother here with baby Pachakaluk, and her dad and her mother, who I've adapted Princess Lucion from the French Sonic comic, Sonic Adventures. So she's her mother, and at this point in time, these are the Nocturnus echidnas, back before they developed their technology. Yeah, so this guy here on the left is Ix before he turned white due to a thing. But yeah, I've got a whole thing about their whole tribe history and everything worked out. Won't talk about that now. Yeah, at this point in time, I've pretty much got ideas covered for pretty much the entire Sonic timeline history. I'll just share one more thing, which I might go over on stream one day, but it's my huge timeline document. So it's got everything listed in chronological order from the creation of the universe. Got all the different periods of time listed out. So I've got when the Twilight Cage aliens were locked away, stuff about the ancients, early imaginary world stuff. This is all the echidna stuff, more echidna stuff. More echidna stuff. The time period after Perfect Chaos. So this details early Zeddy stuff. This is this one's a funny mix of Black Doom's time on Earth, an adaptation of the Secret Rings era as a historical point in time, as well as the Babylonians first appearing on Earth. So big story for that one. This one adapts King Arthur's period of time as a historical point. Some early Soliana stuff here. And this one's a sort of a filler thing about one of Sonic's ancestors. This one's early history for the United Federations, as well as detailing one of Eggman's ancestors. This one's a story about Gerald meeting Zeddy. And all this here is a huge section just for just for arc stuff. A lot of arc stuff. And a big story here which features the period of time from when Maria releases him onto Earth and that time period of time on Earth before he's captured. So I've got a huge story about that. Stuff 20 years ago, so an early period of time for Grand Battle Cuckoo the 15th and Vanilla, and as well as Cream's dad. So a story about them. Stuff about Sonic's parents, and then this is where we get into all the actual game canon stuff. So I haven't filled in a lot of this, but I've filled out a fair bit so far. But I see there's huge gaps here that I just have to sit down and try to recant the storyline and just write them down. So these are adapting all the game canon events, but also injecting some of my Expanse ideas into them. This is a huge thing, trying to reason out the Sonic 06 storyline. So I've got like different timeline phases and stuff until it gets to the perfect timeline. Modern era stuff. So I got some adaptations here. So I got Unleashed, at Collards, all the way down here, and then this is where we get to the present day Expanse stuff. So my stuff that's original to the universe, that is a culmination of all the stuff that I've introduced back in the distant past, as well as some of my unique characters that exist in the present time. So it takes place after the events of Sonic Lost World, and it hinges on the after the events of the Extractor pretty much killing everyone on Earth and then bringing them all back to life. So it causes a huge imbalance in the world. And yeah, a lot of different events happening concurrently. And then, yeah, I've got a section here for future stuff, so 200 years ago stuff. This is where my character, Destiny, exists. He is a hybrid clone of sorts that is a combination of Shadow and Tikal's DNA. And that's the very end of the timeline. Yeah, that took a bit of time. Love the lore. I want to make my own Sonic fan story. You should do it. It's very fun. Trying to make sense out of Sonic 06. Yeah. I make it work somehow, but it's a bit convoluted. I'll link this document in the chat in case anyone wants to just have a look at it at their own leisure, because since it's like not on in any gallery or anything, it's always very hard to find. So if anyone wants to peruse, there are some things I need to update on it, but yeah, here you go. I'm very bad about interacting with other people, so that's a no. I don't really talk much to other creators. It'd be something I wouldn't mind, but it's like, I don't know, not so much a creator issue, but more people issue. I'm not good with people. Yeah, big mood. Big mood. Surprisingly, though, I'm actually in the real world. I can put on my facades pretty well. I'm actually pretty open and confident in real life, but it's more. I consider real life as like more my secondary, so it's like I don't really care that much. But online, which is I consider my primary, that's where I feel more shy, honestly. So yeah, like even when I'm talking with like text and everything, it's like, ugh, I'm shy. I don't know what to say to you. But in person, like I can I can make small talk, all right. I get like I have to use these skills a lot, like in my workplace. But yeah, no. If only that was transferable to online. I've gotten very shy when it comes to online interactions nowadays. Thoughts on the egg bosses, specifically the poster. So my stuff, I primarily work with game elements, so I don't really do much with regards directly like Archie things. I do adapt things here and there, like showing how those ideas might exist in this particular universe, like if they existed in a more game-friendly setting, not bound by these other continuity ideas. But yeah, yeah, and I have utilized some of the egg bosses, but like yeah, not to a great deal, and not to the same purpose as they would in Archie. Something I had, I well, something I was sort of averse to for the longest period of time was not using post Super Genesis Wave stuff in my content, because at that point in time, like the comic was doing a lot of stuff, like sort of dipping into the same sort of territory that I was with what I was doing with my work. So I tended to just sort of avoid using their things just to sort of separate my ideas a bit more. But now that the series has ended, I'm sort of a bit more lenient about adapting those ideas. People in my Discord server, they've sort of convinced me, because like in my server I've got an expanse Q&A where I answer people's questions about what goes on in my expanse stuff. I do get questions a lot like this there, and yeah, I've been convinced over time just to think about these things a bit more. So if anyone's interested in joining the server, I've got a link in my channel profile here. I did update that last night, so I'm not sure if it's yeah, have to check. Uh-oh, I went over time with this one, nearly over time with this one. Hi there, Dreams Bluefire, welcome. Thanks for popping in. Sonic Comics, I'm assuming you mean IDW. To be honest, I haven't kept up. The last time I read was like back during the Metal Overlord, Neo Metal Sonic arc, and I haven't read since then, so I haven't seen any of the stuff with like Surge and Starline and everything like that. I admire it from a distance. Like I enjoy the fan arts and everything like that, but no, I haven't read it for myself. I don't remember a color scheme. Ah, right. No, that's alright. Yeah, that's pretty much me nowadays. Like, I only have like a select handful of people I interact with. So, yeah, bit hard to socialize nowadays. Not like the old forum days. Yeah. It's just one of those things. Have to keep up with the times. I do have my own original stories that I have, like just in the background of my mind. Or do you mean like original content won't matter, like for Sonic, or like something wholly independent from Sonic? Because if so, then both. Independent from Sonic. Yeah, I do have a story that I've got kind of tucked away collecting dust. I did give it some life within the past couple of years. It's very different, totally different to what I do with Sonic. So it's like it's not uh, anthro animal stuff. It's like anime, a very anime-esque storyline. Um, Probably not of interest to my usual watcher base, but it's something that I've sort of dabbled in because it's like it's more just a rule of cool kind of thing. I'll pull up the character design sheet that I've roster that I've got for it. I won't talk about it, but it's like just something that I have as a fallback in case I ever get completely bored of Sonic. Yeah, here it is. So this is roster of my original story of sorts. So this is like it could be a multimedia thing, it could be a comic, it could be a game of sorts. So it's like something that I just keep in the background of my mind. I've got like pretty much the whole story planned out already. It's just a matter of a lot of these designs probably will need some updating, but yeah, it's something I'll pick up on one day if I ever want to buckle down on something completely my own. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've shared these a fair bit before. I've also got yeah, so here I've done like video game idle post sketches. So like if I ever decided to make it into a game or something, whether it's like some sort of platform or fighting game or something. What else have I got? And yeah, just last year I was doing more defined character sketches. Yeah, here we are. So this is more in line with like my actual drawing style. Yeah, this is some original stuff. I might stream some of this one day. Like I did mention earlier that I will have one particular day that's dedicated to just whatever. That's not a part of my preset fandom projects. I might, do some of this stuff there if there's any interest for it. But yeah, these are the characters for that particular story. Thank you. Yeah, I know. I'm really bad about that. I have my friend Subliminal. He's always telling me about this. Like every time I sort of downplay myself, like he always reminds me of the very same thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't have much confidence in myself, honestly. Yeah, he is. be running overtime than expected with this one because having so much fun talking about stuff. But, yeah. Shouldn't take too much longer with this. What design I have? Cheers. Not. Right. Yep. Something that I'm sort of contesting at the moment with this design. So those characters from some of the games or series, the truth is when I saw some of them, yeah, every single one of these is a character from the games. Well, some these ones here, or this one here in particular, is more interpretive to my Expanse ideas. So I've got this whole thing about Solaris and him having a humanoid form similar to Illumina. So I use the Dusty Desert statue from Sonic 06 as a representation of his physical form. And likewise, the younger Illumina is the wacky workbench angel statue. So this is before she becomes the head of the imaginary world. After this point, Solaris is displaced, and then after that point, she gets the design you see in Sonic Shuffle. But yeah, every single one of these characters does appear in the game, except for Gazebo. His game was unfortunately cancelled. That's something I play around with a bit because he gets cancelled out of his expedition with these three because this guy steals his spot. But yeah, they're all game characters, and that's the primary focus of what I'm doing because I want to unify all the aspects of game canon. Anyways. Huh? Yeah. yeah, see these statues a lot everywhere. He's got the same sort of head crest as Solaris himself. Witch? The Witch is Wendy Witchcart. Well, Witchcart from Tails Sky Patrol. Yeah, same with this guy. This guy's also a Game Gear thing. Kukurikov, he's a member of the Battle Cuckoo Army. Yeah. Sometimes I think maybe I should have applied for greater things, like trying to go for a IDW or something. But that's more an issue with me not being a people person. It's hard for me to put myself out there. The interest is there, but it's like, yeah. I don't know how to approach it. Oh. People. Cat. Yeah, such is life. It's like, I don't know. My social anxiety is pretty bad nowadays. Like it's I'm fine like talking to, uh, just not talking to anybody directly like this, but I really struggle with like just interacting with friends. Like I struggle with Discord calls and stuff. I would like to get better, but I don't know. It's weird because I'm putting myself out there like this in front of everybody, just talking to myself, but I find that less daunting than interacting with people directly. I keep the hood separate because yeah, this will be a big design change. So in the original design that I did for her, this upper crest part here was red, but actually no, I actually really like how that looks. I was thinking about keeping it black so it still has some familiarity with the older witch card design, but yeah, I think I might just keep it as red. I just like it. It looks cool. Sadly, that's the only way out of social anxiety now. Yeah, I know. I'll get there eventually. I've been trying. I've been getting better. I used to be very, very bad. Yes, that'll do. It's good. Good. I like that. Some shading. I've definitely gone over time with this. Just thanks for stopping by. Yeah, that's all right. Hope to see you next time. Have a good night. think that's done for that one. I'll just add the overlay, and she is done. No worries. Thanks for stopping by, Spectre. Have a good night. I consider her done. She took a bit longer than anticipated, but that's okay. Gwendoline done. Cyclone, or Fukurikov rather. Thank you. Thanks, guys. I'm particularly happy with her design. I mentioned that she was like one of the earliest designs I created, like as part of my whole Expanse thing. So I've always been particularly fond of her design and of her as a character. So I'm pretty excited to have her updated to my current design standards. This guy is also he is equally as important to my stuff. I do a lot with this particular guy. So a big thing with Cyclone, or Fukurikov as he's known in the games, Cyclone's more of a title he takes on, like as an alias of sorts. I've established this guy as someone similarly of Babylonian descent, like Jet and his crew. So I've employed a lot of Babylon rogue isms to his design, like the flame tips on the arms and the tips on his what do you call them? Hair piece. I don't know what to call them. But yeah. So he's a Babylonian in Expanse, and I specifically set them apart from the Cuckoos. So not like in the Archie's storyline where Cuckoos are descendants of the Babylonians. That in Expanse, I treat them as entirely separate entities, and his ancestry is a big part of his character in this setting. Yeah. So for his younger design, I've changed his big beard thing into chest crest. Oops. But yeah, this guy is someone I have a lot of fun with, because at this point in time he is he is technically the strongest person currently living, like physically strong. So he's he's got big gauntlets. I translated Fukurikov's big spine brace thing into giant gauntlets on his arms. So he's a fighter in this setting. So he's still a scientist, but he's also very, very physical at this point in time, because his body does wear away from the use of the things he employs in this story. But yeah, I mentioned before about how I had a particular story where I detailed the bridge of time between when Maria sets Shadow free from the Ark, and from that point on, when he lands on Earth, up until the point where he's captured and sealed away for 50 years, I have Shadow involved in a story where he comes into contact with the Battle Cuckoo army. And if you have a look in the document I linked earlier, I do roughly feature what happens there, but basically they give him shelter and protection, but with an ulterior motive. And in this setting, Fukurikov, who is still the strongest fighter on Earth, he has a rivalry with Shadow, and they have like, yeah, he's like Shadow's first physical rival. But yeah, I give him the name Cyclone because he outside of using the Fukurikov title that he does later on, Cyclone is his Mobian alias of sorts, and it has a wind based or weather based naming scheme to highlight the fact that he's a Babylonian. Big reason why I went the route of establishing him as a Babylonian is the fact that his beak style is pretty much exactly the same as Babylon Rogues. So I've highlighted him as that being a recurring trait for their particular species, those of Babylonian descent. And, you know, the other birds do exist, obviously, but for my Expanse stuff, it's this particular trait is the thing that sort of sets them apart. How much difference over the years? You mean his particular design? Or I actually do have a thing that I did for him a while back showing his progression. Let me just see if I can find that. Here we go. Right, okay, so this one here is shows his progression. So this is him 17 at 17 years old, which is how old he is during this particular time with the 60 years ago storyline. Yeah, so he's 17 here, which is this set here. So that's the very first design I made of him. I do also feature him in the 20 years ago storyline, which is a storyline that I have which focuses on Grand Battle Cuckoo 15th and Vanilla. So that's the story focusing on them, and he's present during that period of time. So you can see here that his body's caught up with him a little bit. He's wearing a back brace now, similar to whatever he's got going on here in canon. His arms are sort of a lot weaker than they used to be, and he's sort of delved more into science at this point. I do have another design that... Oh, here it is. Yeah, so this takes place during the 50 years ago. So this is 10 years after 60 years ago. Start to wear the back brace, and this is what he looks like when he's got his whole thing with Shadow. It's all connected. Yeah, pretty much. So I like to try to keep it within the realm of possibility. Like I sort of go a bit crazy with some of these because of the stylistic choices. Like big one being Sonic 06's Duke of Soliana. He's like hyper realistic old man, but I've made him like a little cartoon kid here. It's more easier to foresee Pickle being like this as a young man. Witch Cart, a lot of liberties taken, but you know, I still keep it within the range. Oh, actually, no, that's something I wanted to do. Hmm. There we go. I wanted to give her like a little snaggletooth thing as a reference to this big old tooth here. Yeah, I like that. Thank you. I like how she turned out. She's gone through the most design changes, I reckon. Like for Kurikov here, he doesn't look much different to how he was in my original design, but because of style changes, Wendy's changed a lot. But I like her. Realistic. Yeah. Thank you. I tried to strike a balance because I do like all the different styles of the Sonic games. I love the realistic characters. I love the cartoony characters of Unleashed, but I like to try to find something in between. A little bit adventure-ish, not fully, but just more sort of a compromise to sort of make it feel comfortable without being too weird for either side. Oh, cat. Sorry, my back. Did I lose connection there for a second? Um, can you hear me all right? Sorry, I lost connection for a second there. My uh, cat accidentally pulled the Ethernet cord. Am I still connected? Okay, cool. Thank you. I'm living. Thank you. No, man, stop. Away. Stop. fingers. Whoops. That's something I forgot to do. Oops. Oops. Thank you. I try. Chest, yes. Very fluffy. And then it eventually becomes a fluffy beard thing. Something for him to look forward to. His design's a lot more straightforward, so I don't have to do any tinkering with anything, but just sprucing it up here where I can here and there. Right, I think he's ready for coloring. Almost. Something that you'll note with the main cast, now that you sort of see them all together, pretty much all of them, and with the inclusion of Dodonpa as well, they'll all have palettes that are particularly warm-toned. It's kind of an intentional choice because I wanted to do a thing so that, since it's like 60 years back, it's like very subtly a sepia tone sort of look. So keeping them all sort of like warm, dull colors. Yeah, it gives that. It'll give that old-timey feel for when they're in a setting together. When it gets to these guys, REM is going to be like very vibrant blues, and Illumina is going to be vibrant pinks, so they'll stand out in particular. Gonna adjust Solaris in a way that, because generally in this form he has like yellow robes, so that would put him in line with these guys, but I'm gonna do something different with him to sort of show off his current status in the story. That later. As well. I believe it's been 3 hours already. These streams, like when I first started, I thought I'd like only do them in like short bites, like, you know, streaming like 1 hour at a time. But I've been sort of keeping it at 3 hours, and because it's a pretty lengthy amount of time, but it just goes by so quickly. Like it doesn't even feel like that long ago since I started streaming. But it's really good because usually when I draw, I just keep getting up. I don't sit down and focus, but doing this forces me to really focus on what I'm doing. And I got these two done, and I'm about to get this third one done. I did say that I was probably gonna go stream a bit longer today, but I don't know if I'll be able to get to Dodonpa today because these last two have taken a bit longer than I expected, but it's not too bad. I'll see how I go because it's getting pretty late for most, I imagine, but I'll stick it out and just see how long I can sort of push it before before people start losing interest. Line 33. Oh, that's a good reference. It is very difficult for me to keep up with like American times. $34. Thank you for the correction. I might stick it out. I said at the start that I wanted to keep going until I at least finished Dodonpa, because that way it would have the mortals done out of the way, so that way next time I stream I could focus on the imaginary people. What time do people normally go to bed nowadays? I don't consider myself a good frame of reference because nowadays I'm usually in bed by like 8 p.m. my time. So I don't know what people normally do nowadays. Oh, okay. It's good to know. I've actually, yeah. Ah. I miss being a night owl. Like I often desire to stay up late like I used to, but I just can't nowadays. I don't have the stamina for it. Sleep through mornings, yeah. I would sleep in like usually on my days off. Like I always sleep in because like I tried getting up early the other day so I could start streaming earlier. But I find that I like to be able to sleep in on the days when I'm not working because when I'm working I usually have to start like 6:45 in the morning, so I have to be up pretty early just to get ready for work. So yeah, when I don't have to work, I just want to not do anything and just sleep. Understandable. Yeah, I still take naps every now and again. Sometimes, like after work, I like fall asleep for a little bit, or just lay in bed and just browse on my phone, just unwind. And it's like, yeah, I have very low energy nowadays. Yeah, and that's another big reason why I like to. I struggle with like joining Discord calls and stuff because sometimes while I'm just sitting in them listening in, I get tired, and then I like lay down and stuff. So I feel bad either just suddenly not being present or like suddenly dipping from the call. So it's just a needless anxiety I have. Yeah. Very comfortable at least. Right. Thank you. Have a good night. Thanks for stopping by and yeah, hanging out. Very fun to just talk about stuff. I'll get it. Back to the start. Oh, okay. So I think that might have been when I disconnected. Let's see if that restarted. Oh, caught up. Thanks for letting me know. I think Vakurikov is done. Starting to get a bit tired, so I might just stream for another 15 more minutes. I was hoping to get Dodonpa done, but I just realized that his design is a lot less defined than the others, because since he's a brand new character, I haven't really done much with him, like for how he's going to look. So what I'll spend the next 15 minutes on is just doing stuff with his design, and then have it ready for next time when I stream again. Because yeah, this guy's gonna need a fair bit of work, I think. Oops. Thank you. I have a very, very simple method to doing things, but I think it's effective enough. Thank you, everyone. Just work on this further. See if I can get something. Oh, haven't heard that one in a while. I really need to do more with my Silence character again, because outside of just his base design, I don't really do much with him for any story things or anything like that. Yeah, as far as I'm aware, he's a tanuki, Japanese raccoon dog. So I've sort of highlighted that a little bit with his design, because it's not as overly apparent in Team Sonic Racing, but I do a little bit more with like his actual the relevance of his species in Expanse, where they come from, why Blaze's why Blaze in particular is like, she's like especially racist towards him, so I have some stuff in mind for like them having ties to the Soul Dimension, and I do detail pretty extensively what happens there. Oops. Yeah, they're these two in particular, they are very fresh additions to the cast, because in the original lineup, when I first conceived this story, obviously these characters didn't exist yet, but I've since decided to like integrate them into the story now. Ariam in particular, I want to expand on more, because I have in mind for her to be like, since they have overlapping themes, guiding over dreams, Illumina is going to be the creator of Ariam, and she's like her personal construct. And I have in mind that because Illumina, obviously she's an ageless being, so she doesn't exactly age, but this form here, the canon form from Sonic's Shuffle, this is something she gets like after this particular storyline, because at the moment Solaris is ahead of the imaginary world, and in this story he ends up getting displaced. Illumina ascends to this higher status and gets this new form, and Ariam as her construct also, I guess, grows up in that manner. But yeah, Dodonpa in particular, I'm going to expand on greatly because he's going to have an interesting relationship with the imaginary world, because in game canon, like in Team Sonic Racing, he has some pretty extensive reach. Like, he can contact and reach out as far as different dimensions and into the distant future. So this is something I will elaborate on a bit more, like for why he's able to do that, and that comes with this particular relationship with the imaginary world. But yeah, in the actual story itself, he's actually very useful as well, because I've always had in mind that these two, Wendy and Cyclone, they were always going to be the foils to these guys, but I'd never actually conceived, like I always just imagined maybe they were teleported onto the little planet or something, but I never actually thought about how they actually get there in order to oppose them. But Dodonpa being here now is actually very convenient, because now I can have him create a vessel for them to be able to traverse the little planet to get these guys away. Oh yeah, and I want to do a lot more with Dodonpa as well with regards Gerald, because I want them to, after this point, collaborate a bit, and utilizing some ideas and technology from Dodonpa to help create the Ark. Yeah. He's a very integral character despite being a new addition to this plot. I have done some pieces with Dodonpa before. I just really like saying Dodonpa. That I've expanded on a bit. I'll show off what I've done when he first came out. Alright, so here's what I've got. The first thing I did was I wanted to create an origin story for his leopard print thing. So I've got him involved in a story where, like, he's befriended this leopard guy, and they're like part of some sort of slave camp or something like that, and he has been obviously skinned, but he gives it to Dodonpa as like a friendship token. He sort of wears it as a badge of honor. And then much later on, after this point, I combined some other ideas of mine, and I've got here Dodonpa and Skinned in a team with Ogilvy Palauza, who is Sonic's grandfather in this setting. So they're like a band of pirates together. I just want to keep it simple, because he's a very simple character. At this point, pretty much everything is connected in some manner. Like in my server, I invite everyone to join if they're interested. I talk a lot about Expanse there, and in particular, I've got a channel dedicated to questions and answers about different things in Expanse. And a lot of the time, people ask me like a whole bunch of different questions at once, and very often, like I can answer them pretty clearly because I have pretty much thoughts about nearly every aspect of the Sonic game canon. But often I find that even though the questions are all just disjointed and like have nothing to do with each other, there is always like connections and common threads that always come up anyways. That's how ingrained and connected all my stuff is at the moment. So yeah, and I invite anyone to pop in. There should be a link to the Discord channel server in my YouTube channel About Me section. So yeah, if you're interested, come check it out. Lot less work than I expected I have to do. So, satisfied with how he looks. Simple. Want to keep him like like even like he is in them in main canon as well, but I want to highlight here as well that he's a very mysterious character. It's like you just don't know what he's all about. And he, like, even though he's very simple, he seems very simple. He has a lot going on, a lot of things he's tied to. Right. I think I've got him pretty much ready for the next stream, so I think I might end it there. Got a lot done, got those 3 completed. So the next one will probably be the last one for this lot, so I'll have enough time to do those last 3, and this guy is mostly done, so I just have to apply color. But yeah, thanks everyone for popping in. A little bit longer. Not as I hope to do like an extra long one, but I don't know. I'm pretty tired, and it's around lunchtime for me, so I'm hungry. Yeah, thanks again for everyone for hanging out, everyone, and I'll let everyone know when I'm streaming next. So I stream pretty much every second day, so I'll stream again in another 2 days' time, and probably work on this. Thanks again. I'll see you guys next time.